omelette is sold for 500 yuan. The customer was instantly baffled. This is too much of a pity. The girl was curious and took a bite. Feng also tasted a bite after listening. Only after a closer look did he realize that this was a dessert made of mango and passion fruit mixed with foreign wine. And the second dish is even more outrageous. It was a potted plant with soil. This makes the two of them even more puzzled. Can you eat this? The Western food manager looked contemptuous. Feng probed to look closely. What a surprise! This plant is growing fast after pouring boiling water on it. The manager said this is a growing salad. All the elements in it can be eaten. But you don't understand even if I tell you. When Feng heard this, he became angry. He picked up the plant and went to the back kitchen in a rage.
我是来吃饭的，不是来看你变魔术的。你要装神弄鬼，你会跑。
Paul did not get angry. Instead, he told everyone to stand back. Then he took out a piece of steak. He wanted to compete with him. Feng didn't say anything. He wanted to show this Western chef what is a dish. Grabbed a knife, sliced the onion and throw it into the frying pan and fry it slowly. Then while cutting the beef, while keeping an eye on the onion in the pot, keep an eye on the heat of the shallots. Then mix the beef with the shallots. Stir fry quickly on an iron plate. Then add all kinds of seasonings. When the beef is at its most tender, a sizzling beef with scallions is ready. Paul is also not shy. He first grilled the beef with a grill light until it was 70% done. Then he cuts the steak into 3 pieces. Put it on the plate with the base dish and cover it with a lid. Then came the most important step. He uses a match to light the apple wood for smoking so that the beef is tender in the mouth. The flavor is long and tender. Feng took the plate. He smelled it with his nose and it was really good. He had nothing to say. He turned around and left. After that, Paul also tasted Feng's beef. He was instantly amazed. Feng is a famous chef of this generation. The small restaurant of a dozen square feet was always full of people. It wasn't until Paul appeared that this situation was broken. The diners were all snatched up. It turns out that Paul is a 3-star Michelin chef in France. He thought Chinese food was too old-fashioned. He didn't know how to keep up with the times. This time he came back to China to win the God of Cooking competition. When Feng heard that, he couldn't stand it. At that moment, he challenged Paul. The man used a knife to gently cut. The fish is divided into 2 halves, and then press the finger to determine the location of the fish thorn. Then he used tweezers to pull out all the fish thorns. Then he tossed the fish to Feng. He first checked the spines with the back of the knife. Then he made a quick cut on the flesh of the fish. In a few strokes, he cut the salmon into cubes. Then he gently pushed the fish from the tail. The skin and flesh separated perfectly. With a shake of the hand, the flesh of the fish was in good shape. The skin of the fish was intact. Paul was instantly amazed. It seems to be underestimated the Chinese food. In order to determine the winner, the two decided to compete in a cooking contest. Soon the competition began. Feng made a duck. First, he broke its bones by hand. The duck was coated with a secret seasoning. Then he inserted a knife into the duck's belly and gently scratched it a few times. Finally, with a strong tug, the duck was instantly separated from the flesh and bones. The whole audience was amazed. Next, the duck's belly is added with the secret seasoning, filled with the ancestral sauce. The body of the duck is instantly filled up by the high temperature. Then it was wrapped in fresh lotus leaves. The outside is then coated with a layer of coarse salt. Turn out the ancestral iron pot. Add 100 pounds of fine salt. Then stir fry with a slow fire. Stir fry until the right temperature and bury the duck in it. Slowly cooked by the temperature of the salt. In a short time, knock with a knife handle. A secret pepper flour duck fresh out of the oven. The surface of the duck absorbs the lotus leaf and its QQ pop. With a gentle slash of the knife, the soup slowly flows out. The aroma of the duck was instant. The judges were amazed after just one taste. However, such a delicious Chinese food lost to the cold Western food. Paul made the foie gras with caramel. He wrapped the foie gras first. Then he blanched it in cold boiling water. He heats it in the microwave. After taking it out of the oven, he cooled it down quickly with ice cubes. The foie gras is unmolded smoothly and cut into small slices with a knife. Now comes the most important part. Boil the sugar into thin slices. Then use a torch to melt the caramel. Cover the foie gras with it. The result is an amazing caramelized foie gras. And with the beautiful presentation, it was a perfect match. In the end, the judges decided that Feng's presentation was not good enough. Paul was awarded the victory. Paul will be the representative in the World Chef competition. Feng left the stage in anger. Only later did Paul realize that he had won the competition. It was the boss who paid off the judges, and the boss's conspiracy slowly emerged.
你以为我跟你在一起是因为爱你吗？成为食神才是我唯一的梦想，我不想错过这个机会。
It turns out that his girlfriend had already joined the boss. He also found out that Paul had lost his sense of taste, the reason why he can still cook, all because of a recipe notebook. The boss obtained the qualification for the competition is to let his girlfriend to participate in the competition, and so Paul was kicked out. Broken, Paul got drunk in the street. Just in time, he met Feng. Knowing Paul's situation, Feng did not fall into the well. The two of them let go of their differences. They decided to join forces to participate in the World Origin contest. Finally, the competition started. Feng and Paul even used a stone mill to grind the beans. This puzzled the judges. judges. It turns out that they want to use the most traditional method to make a mabwa tofu. The other chefs were making famous dishes, but to make the most common dish well, it's not an easy task either. First, the bean paste is embedded in the unshaped tofu, and then put the beef sauce on top of the tofu in a popping ball. One bite and it will burst. The most important thing is, they haven't forgotten their roots, the hemp in mappa tofu. All authentic Sichuan peppercorns are used, stir-fried with chili peppers, and then added into the tofu. The flavor came up in a flash, and my girlfriend used Paul's notes, made a molecular oyster. In the end, the mappa tofu successfully conquered the judges, and got the first place. Next was the duel with the previous food god. According to the rules, only one person can participate. Paul gave up the opportunity to Fong, but when the competition started, Fong was frozen in place, until Gusto threw water in his face. Only then did Fong wake up from his dream. He took out the flour and started to make the dough, and Gusto was almost done with the dish. He made a dish with flowers on the other side. Not only is it beautiful, it's also very tasty. Fong made a bowl of noodles. He didn't bring the noodles to the judges. Instead, he served it to the god of food in front of him. It turns out that Gusto is Feng's father. Father and son had never gotten along. His father had always despised him since he was a child. Later, for his own dream, he left Fong alone at home. He was gone for more than 10 years. His father taught him how to make this bowl of noodles when he was a child, but Fong was never good at it. Fong participated in this competition to prove to his father he can be a good chef. His father tasted it. It tasted like home. He finally realized his mistake. From his heart, he recognized Fong. In the end, Fong and Paul became brothers and started the most famous restaurant in the area.